Hi Bodcasters, we're bringing you a very special Repost episode.
To mark Prostate Cancer Awareness Month, we're taking you back to Season 3 when we spoke to Dave, who told his story.
So, welcome to the Middle-aged Bodcast with me, Raging Rich.
And me, T.A. Shalano.
And T.A., we're here with a very special episode. We have a guest with us today, Dave, who's going to be talking to us about his experiences with prostate cancer. And we've got a little bit of info on here that just wanted to share before the interview. So we are recording this in March, and March is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. The campaign focuses on educating men about the importance of early detection and the available treatment options. In the last week alone, there's been a couple of famous people who have sadly passed away, having been affected by prostate cancer. There is Alex Wheatle, the author, who passed away on 16th of March, aged 62, and Eddie Jordan, the Formula One motor racing boss, broadcaster and businessman, who passed away on the 20th of March at the age of 76, having announced in December 2024 that he'd been diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate and bladder cancer earlier in the year.
Those are just two examples, but there are around 12,000 deaths in the UK from prostate cancer each year, and in 2020 there were 375,000 deaths worldwide. Prostate cancer has now become the most diagnosed cancer in England, with a 25% increase in cases between 2019 and 2023. 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime, and if you're black, your risk is double. Men aged 50 or over and men with a family history of prostate cancer are more at risk, and the risk increases as you get older. Despite the huge increase in prostate cancer cases, there's still no national screening programme, and NHS guidelines currently prevent GPs from proactively talking to men at the highest risk about the option of a free PSA blood test. As the disease often has no symptoms in its earlier stages, the situation means too many men find out they have cancer only after it's spread and become harder to treat.
Well, Dave, welcome to the Middle-aged Podcast, and thank you for joining us here today.
No problem. Hi, Rich. Hi, TA. Thank you. I don't mind to share my little journey with you guys.
Thank you very much. We really do appreciate it. Could you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you found out that you had prostate cancer, please?
Well, basically, I'm a retired mechanic. Worked on the local council. I retired back in 2018 and having a great life in retirement. And it was just 12 months after that, being a naughty boy, I never had me MOT, because I've retired. So the following year, I went to the doctors. I got a bit of a swelling on my wrist, and it's arthritis. And he says to me, "You never had your MOT last year." I says, "Okay." He says, "Well, we'll do it now." So I had all my blood tests, weights, everything else fine. And basically, went away on holiday, had a text message off the doctors to make an appointment. Nothing to worry about. I think it might be me rich living, a bit of cholesterol up or something. Made the appointment, went to the doctors, and bang, your PSA level is 9.6, which is only supposed to be 4, which quite frightened me, to be honest with you, because I had no symptoms, and I mean no symptoms whatsoever. Now, a friend of mine, 12 months prior to that, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer, but he'd got symptoms. He was going to the toilet frequently. He was passing a little bit of blood. His was a bit more aggressive. Not the aggressive form, but it was a bit more advanced, as I can say. So from there, then I was reverted to the hospital in Samwell, and met a great team there. And they done an internal, and there was a bit of hardness on my prostate, and that was a bit of a concern. Then from there, I was just transported straight into CT scans and everything else. So that was the start of my journey.
And then from that point, then what sort of was the timeline? Then sort of following the diagnosis of all of that, and then the treatments.
I think from going to see the doctor to actually having a CT scan and biopsy, I think, I've got to be honest, it was quite quick I think it was in 4 to 5 weeks of all that happening.
Wow.
Then from that, then I had to have what they call an internal biopsy, which a lot of people are frightened of, thinking, oh, it's going to hurt, sticking that up the back end, but it's not. It doesn't hurt whatsoever. And they take, I think it's 11 clippings off your prostate. Then what they do from there is they do a count of abnormal cells on the clippings, like cancer cells and that. And I think it's called the Gleason score. Now mine was 3 plus 4, which gave me a Gleason score of 7, which was, I wouldn't say low, but it's not high. But it's cancer, so it hadn't come out the capsule, it was just in my prostate. But the problem was, on mine, the cancer on the prostate was up on the wall adjacent to the bladder, which I was quite lucky, because if it had gone through the capsule, it had gone straight to the bladder, so I was quite a lucky man there.
And in that sense was then the timing of having gone to see the GP, was that potentially pivotal in it having not gone through by that point? If you'd not gone to your, as you say, the MOT with the GP, is there a chance that could have happened?
Well, no, I don't think so, because when I spoke to the McNillan nurse, Emma, when I talked to her about this, and she said, Dave, you could have had this for 2 years. I know you missed your MOT last year. The year before I'd had it all, but there was no sign of it. So in that sort of 2-year period, she says that could have been growing just after you'd had your last MOT. This is how important it is to go every 12 months and have a PSA test.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an interesting point, isn't it? Because men obviously traditionally put off going to the doctors, don't go to things that they should do. And so as an example there, it just shows you how important doing these things is, particularly as we get older. I know, obviously, we're in our 40s, and initially we had the whole thing coming through about, go for your well check over 40. And I know both you and I didn't go as soon as we should have done, even with that, for example. So it does just show you the importance of these things. So what then sort of was the timeline then around sort of your treatment and whatnot from there?
Well, I think if I can remember right, it was on July, basically, when they confirmed the grade of the cancer, which was the Gleason score and everything. Then I was put on, now I've written this down, the tablets. I'm trying to think what they was called now. 2 seconds.
Okay.
Oh, I can't remember the name of the tablets, right? But there's just a full whack of tablets I've got to take, which basically it's biolutamide or something like that, the name of them. And basically you have to take those, and having all that, then basically it stops the testosterone from reaching the cancer cells, and then it helps to shrink your prostate and your cancer. Those are the tablets, which is an hormone therapy, to be honest with you. That's all it is, hormone therapy tablets. Then from there, once I'd taken those, I think I had an injection. So from that then, in July, I think it was about 5 weeks of tablets, then an injection, and then they booked me in. I think it was a CT scan, then they booked me in for radiotherapy. And that was the 1st of December 2019. So from July, they started me on the medication up till the 1st of December for when I started the radiotherapy. So the timeline was not that long, because you're on the medication. You know what I mean? It's a process. I mean, this was nearly 6 years ago. I mean, the process never probably changed drastically. with all the new technologies coming out. Because I know there's also I don't know if it's a protein or a bean thing they inject into your prostate, and it works inside your prostate and kills the cancer. That's something new. But next time I go to the meeting, I'm going to ask about it and see what it all entails.
The interesting thing on the timeline, of course, is so your diagnosis is effectively, just before sort of COVID. And I know from reading online, a big part of the kind of expansion in the cases between 2019 and 2023 has actually been the impact of that, missed appointments or, people not going, things like that. So, again, that's shown, that importance of doing that and the impact that's now having as a legacy thing even is quite notable just from some of the researchers doing sort of coming into this. And so what's the prognosis for you now?
Mate, I'm clear now. I've been 18 months clear with no medication. And I think, if I can remember, I think my PSA 12 months July gone was 0.02, right? And last year it was 0.023, something like that. Very, very low. It's long as it's below 2. When you've had prostate cancer, then you have to have it checked every 12 months. Okay. Then after the 12 months, you checked all the while. But if you get up to 2 on your PSA, you'll get called back in. Where for anybody else, like yourselves, if you reach 4, you'll get called in. Below 4, you'll be monitored, which is a good thing. Because at least then they're on top of it before it gets too aggressive.
It's interesting you're saying that with the scores on the PSA as well, and how it's different for if you've actually had prostate cancer or if you haven't, the sort of how they measure that and what they do for calling people in. You did mention as well, Dave, that you didn't have any symptoms, but you know someone who did have symptoms. What are the kind of symptoms that men should be looking out for?
Well, going to the toilet a lot. That's the main one. And the other one, I have met a couple of people when I was having the treatment. They was literally passing blood, big style. You know what I mean? Very, very frightening. But their scores was way their PSAs were 190 odd, one of them. Wow. He just left it.
Wow.
And last time I seen him was about 2 years ago, and he was still going. He was getting on a little bit, but it's something not to ignore. That's all I can say. It's mostly important. Don't ignore any kind of symptom you get. Thinking, you got a urinary infection, anything like that. Just go to your doctors and demand you want a PSA. You don't have to be 50. You can be 40, you can be 30. If the doctor says you don't need one because you're not 50 yet, you tell them you want one. And that's most important, because they can't refuse you. And it's better to be safe than sorry.
I think the advice, like you say, around whether it's related to this or, I suppose, symptoms for anything really, it is that point about not ignoring, because, in the example that you gave, it will only get worse. And obviously, in that particular case, he's still, obviously medical treatments have advanced an awful lot, but it can go the other way where if you leave something and they can't then do something to help you. So, it's a good thing to stress the importance of getting things checked. Is there any support that you had then sort of, during the treatment process that you found like really helpful or?
Right. The great support, the whole team were brilliant through the radiotherapy sessions, which was in December 2019. And then from there, you've got the Macmillan cancer nurses, which are great people. My wife worked in the NHS, and she knew my doctor who was treating me and the cancer. She worked with them, so it was a bit family friendly, but you know what? They was absolutely brilliant. All the support, any questions you wanted to ask, they'll They even talk to you and put you in the right directions of doing little things, and those were really great. We go to meetings, right, about, I think there's 4 meetings a year, and it's a newsletter for the prostate and urology cancer support group, and they have a meeting about 4 times a year, and it's at Wood Lane Community Centre. That's Wood Lane, West Bromwich, right? And it's only a 2-hour session, but they have all the girls. There's about 6 of them that go, and all the new treatments, anything that benefits people with cancers, not just prostate cancer. It can be all the other cancers. And down in that area for us blokes, right? They're there. They talk to you. They put you in the right directions, and they're fantastic. And that is great support after.
I think that's really important in keeping those discussions going, not only to help people like yourself who've experienced cancer and things like that, but you also have then the ability to pass that information on to others as well. If you find they're having, if you sort of find they're experiencing maybe symptoms, and you can sort of go, oh, hang on a minute, and sort of advise them on what to do then as well.
That's right. I mean, down our local pub, there was probably 5 people had got symptoms, and me just sitting there monitoring people going to the toilet on a regular basis. 2 of them I pulled up. I says, do you go to the toilet? I looked at it, he went, yeah. I says, have you had your PSA checked? And he said, what's that? I said, don't you listen to the news? And nothing. He says, no. I says, go to the doctors and have a PSA test. And both of them actually went to the doctors, and both came back with prostate cancer, early stages.
Oh, wow.
And I says to them, you've got prostate cancer, or you could have. And they actually went, and they both came back, and they both got prostate cancer, and they've had the same medication and radiotherapy as me, because it was early stages. But you know what, that was just me noticing people going to the toilet down our local club on a regular basis.
Because that was something that you then obviously knew was, even though you'd not had symptoms yourself, you knew that was potentially a symptom of, and then again, you were then helping to spread like an education and awareness that people didn't have, and I think that's obviously so important. I mean, that's incredible, really, to have that impact then for your own experience to then help other people to recognise that.
Yeah, as I say, one of my other friends, he's not just been diagnosed with it, and I thought, is it something going on down our club? I said, everybody's getting prostate cancer down here. Oh yeah, I mean, we can laugh about it. I laugh about it, because you have to be positive. You know what I mean? Yeah, but on the serious side, my friend went, and he was really scared and worried. I said, look, come on, I'll come with you. And I actually took him to the hospital, and we basically, literally, I took him step by step how it works. And he was worried about was having the biopsy up his back passage. I said, look, it doesn't hurt. It's just a little bit strange having something put up there. And the only other thing it does, it makes you feel as though you want to go to the toilet for a wee. I said, but that's all it does. But you don't wee. But, it's just helping somebody out. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And say, I ain't going because I ain't having it done. Leave it, forget it. But I made him go. I took him there. And he's on his treatment now, and he's doing absolutely fine. So that was another one, just helping people out.
I mean, I think there's an important point there around the testing side of things, which again have obviously advanced significantly over time. You've talked obviously around that the PSA test being a blood test, and I think that's probably an important thing to get out from an education piece, because the situation you talk about with the more intimate examination is often what gets mentioned in popular culture, or even comedians have joked about that kind of amateur sort of proctology, etc., has become almost like a jovial thing. And actually that can be something that would put people off if they think that the only way to have a test in the first instance is still that particular scenario, rather than actually there's just an ordinary blood test that you can go and have that will ultimately dictate whether you then need the further examination. Is really important that a lot of people maybe don't know that, and then just purely associate the more intrusive examination that they might be more scared of, or, again, men, the embarrassment and all that kind of thing. It's important that people know, the advances now can detect things, other ways to even begin with.
Yeah, well, I'll be honest, I'm not quite sure, but I think there is another test they do now without having to do the biopsy. I'm not 100% sure on that. I mean, I can find out when I go to the next meeting, but going back to not saying anything to anybody, I don't agree with that. I thought, tell them the truth, and I'll just force them to go. You know what I mean? I can be a bit forceful like that.
I think people need that, though. I think that's the thing. And as we've said, people don't like going, men really don't like going to the doctor to ask about anything. We will put it off. And it is something I think that needs to change, that discussion, especially when you find somebody who has put it off and then they find out that they have got cancer, and they'll say, I wish I'd done something about it sooner. I wish I'd gone and got checked out sooner. And you think that's the discussion that needs to happen now. It needs to be people actually saying, go and get checked out. Make sure that you're doing regular checkups and things like that, because it is important to look after yourself, not only from a standpoint of sort of health and well-being, but even just with your mental health and things, and sort of going, I'm not going to do it. It's just that peace of mind of going and knowing that you're okay, or the peace of mind of being told, yes, something's going to need some treatment, but at least you've got then that guidance and that support that can help you through it. And I think that's the thing that needs to change in our sort of how everybody is in the world at the moment. A lot of men are like that.
Yeah, they are. I mean, there was an old friend of mine, he passed away about 18 months ago. He was diagnosed with prostate cancer, but bless him, he was 86, and he phoned me up about it. And I told him, we got to go. He went to the doctors, but he would not have the biopsy thing done, and he didn't want to be everything done up there. He was adamant. He says, Dave, I'm 86. I says, I've had my life. But I don't be messed about. I said, Reg, you can save your life. You know what I mean? They don't need treatment without doing the biopsy, but they can't do it properly, because once they get all the scores and how it is, that's where they determine what sort of, if I can understand it properly, that's how they determine how much radiotherapy to give you to kill the cancer off. You know what I mean? So it's probably guesswork, I ain't quite sure. But he never had it done, and sadly he passed away 18 months ago. But he was an happy old man. He'd had his life, so, but I found it sad he might still be here for another couple of years, because he was quite a fit bloke, but it was just, he was petrified of having a biopsy. Shame. It's important to let people know exactly what goes on, and if they want to, I've always said, I'll go with you to the hospital. It's nothing to worry about. He didn't listen. Bless you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, unfortunately, you can only do your best with people, can't you? In that sense of advising and trying to support people. I mean, what sort of impact? I think you said you'd only been retired a relatively short time when this happened. So what sort of impact did this have on your life and your outlook around your retirement, etc.?
Basically, so I retired in 2018. That year was absolutely great. Summer that was. We was down in Cornwall for a month, because I took the caravan down there. We were having a great time. But the impact, very positive, I think, because I've got a wife that's a nurse, and she's very positive. I've got all my kids, my grandkids, and brilliant family support. And my sister-in-law, they all worked at the hospitals, So that was great. The impact, it was a bit devastating, bit of a shock more than devastating, because people will understand this, right? If people have never had cancer in their family, they think, oh, I'm never going to get it. And that's what it is. I'm the only one I know in our family, my blood family, right, that's had cancer. And I had no symptoms or nothing. And I think, where's this come from? You don't know. It happens, you know. But the impact on it, I felt quite positive because I just got on with life. You know, some people can't, some people struggle with it. I got a great backup, the wife, family, and that made me up and really, really strong. Having a strong family made me strong. And that's why I feel strong when I talk to people who've got it. I like to talk to them in a strong way, and when any questions they want to ask, any problems, anything you're worried about, and I tell them my little story I'm telling you, and that's what I think they go away feeling a little bit better. When I'm 5-6 years into it, and these people now have just started that journey, and they look at me, I said, look, I'm 6 years on, enjoying life. And it's great.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's then that example where a doctor or a nurse can obviously sort of say something to somebody, but talking to somebody who has, you know, been through that experience, and, you know, as you say, is still living your life into your retirement now and all the rest of it. Yeah. That first-hand experience of something is so much more impactful potentially with people, and it's the importance of, as you say, people sharing their stories and helping people. I mean, do you think then, just the way you speak, that it has sort of changed your outlook a little bit? You know, before you kind of, the conversations you've sort of had in the pub and the club and that, and when you started to, you know, recognise symptoms, you know, before this, is that something you'd ever seen other people mention or ever been privy to that kind of conversation?
No, not really. Having a family that works in the NHS anyway, the wife's sister-in-law, she passed away when she was 59, and she got back pain, and then she found out she got kidney cancer, and that was it. It spread everywhere. I don't know. I don't know where to go with that one really, because it was sad. You know what I mean? Because it should never have happened. You know, it probably had some radiotherapy. She'd probably still been here, but with the impact of my life, I've just kept it positive. All the while, you know, and so have my family. They're all positive with me, and any little problems, and it's all about sharing your emotions. You know, don't bottle your emotions up. Just share them. Any problems you get, any thoughts, I'll just share them.
It's really interesting because we talk a lot about mental health on the podcast as well, and it does seem like this has had a what could have been a very negative effect on your mental health has actually, after all of your treatment and getting clear, it's actually led to a positive influence on it in terms of talking to other people and providing support for them, and also being able to offer advice. And I think that's a really good example of talking about mental health in a positive way, of the impact that it's had on you. And one thing I have noticed while we've been talking is that you're smiling a lot when you're talking about things, and it's a really, it's not the kind of thing you would expect if you're, you know, if you thought, oh, well, we're going to be talking about this subject, you wouldn't expect that. And it's really nice to see that there's this positive outlook on your life post-diagnosis and post-treatment, and I think that's a really good example to show across the board to people who may be going through something similar now and actually going, well, there is this future and there's everything to come, and that's the thing to think about, and then embracing that and making the most out of life.
It is. I mean, it's like the only thing, maybe the only downside, just touching on, like, after you've had your radiotherapy treatment, right, you put on Prostate 3 injections, okay? I think I had about 11 injections. Now, if people listen to this, I will... they're put it in your stomach, yeah? but a lot of people don't like injections put in the stomach. But you can have them in your arms as well. So sometimes I say, just sit there and the nurses put them in the stomachs every time. And people don't like that. But you can have them in your arm as well. But sometimes they don't tell you that. You know what I mean? Now, with the prostate injections, I mean, I think it was 11 injections over 3 months apart, which took me right up to July 2022. And basically, the Prostate is like it's an hormone injection, basically, and it just keeps everything shrunk, your prostate shrunk, and it does affect your sex life because you lose all interest in sexual activity, but it does slowly come back, you know. But that's what happens. It's the truth. People need to know that.
But at the end of the day, if it's, you know, something that's going to save your life, then these are, you know, relatively minor.
Oh, geez, it is minor, you know. But
again, you're right. It could be something that people get really, you know, caught up in. Oh, I won't be able to do this, and you know, I won't be able to do that and whatnot. So it's
it does affect your relationship a little bit, of course, of what's going on with you. And as you say, as a man, you like to perform, if you can put it that way. And he puts a hold on it for a bit.
And so now, in terms of obviously you keep up with your routine checks and whatnot. I mean, what other plans have you got? Are you doing anything else around the education and awareness? You know, further to what you've already told us about, or anything?
Well, no, not really. I go to the cancer awareness meetings, and we do the prostate walks. That's mainly around West Bromwich. With that, and that's all for charity. We just donate money into the buckets and we're walking around. You know, it all goes to the prostate or the cancer charity of that hospital, which is great because it's going directly to those. And anything new, basically, at this meeting that comes up, I pass that on. If I talk to my mates who have got it, I would say, you know, what is this? Or avoid this food. You know, I mean, have that food. Because certain foods are no good for you, as you know, some good. And they come out with all these different things, and it's really interesting, you know, when you can pass that on to other people, you know, because some of them don't want to come to the meeting. They say, well, I can't be bothered. I go because I enjoy it, and you learn things from it. So I just also pass all that on to people who've got prostate cancer.
Well, it's been really good chatting about this, Dave. It's been a real eye-opening conversation, and thank you very much for joining us and for sharing your story. I know it must be difficult to sort of talk about it in this kind of fashion on a podcast, but we really do appreciate you taking the time to speak to us today.
No, that's absolutely fine. It's just all I'd like to reiterate is any men out there going to just listen to this, whether you've got symptoms or not, just go and have a PSA check. Because one day you might find it could save your life.
We normally leave the last word to the guest as to what they want to say, but I think that's probably what that would have been.
I think that is a perfect last word to have on there. So I think all we can say really on our behalf is thank you very much, Dave. It's been really great to chat to you today and hear your story, and hopefully it helps to sort of give men out there who are not really thinking about these kind of things, give them some knowledge and some inspiration to go and get themselves checked out. I think that's a really important thing.
No problem. That's not a problem at all. Great to help and help with your podcast.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay then, Richard. Thank you very much. See you again, and see you TA.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Okay then.
Thank you.
Good. Bye.